Poznanie je cesta k slobode. Poznaním sa zbavíte strachu. Andragogika je poznanie. Cesta k zdokonaľovaniu seba i druhých. Cesta k pochopeniu komplexity i celosti sveta.
Subham astu sarvajogatam. I would like to welcome Dr. Amit Goswami from University of Oregone, quantum activist, the professor of quantum physics, and I'd like to introduce him to our listeners, to listeners of Free Broadcaster. And I'm really impressed with your quantum activist documentary movie. Can you explain to our listeners just a simple question? What is a quantum?
This is not a very simple question. The word quantum means a discrete quantity. That's the way that quantum physics was discovered, because a scientist named Max Planck found that there is a graininess in energy which we thought is continuous originally. But energy is not continuous. It consists of discrete particle-like grains. And so we call them quanta. But then quantum physics, what we call quantum physics now, that took on an unexpected turn. We found that objects behind this graininess, objects are actually waves of possibility residing in a domain of reality that is outside of space and time. Now, this is so different from the original discovery of the quantum that getting to understand quantum through the original meaning of it is extremely misleading, because discreteness of energy is a very minor aspect of quantum physics. The big aspect is that quantum physics forces us to realize that there is reality outside of space and time.
Well, another question is, can we create or destruct quantum?
No, we cannot create or destruct quantum. We cannot create or destruct energy. So, but that's, again, this is a distraction. That's not the major teaching of quantum physics. Okay? The teaching of quantum physics more centers on the fact that behind this world of manifestation, where we find manifest experience, manifest matter, there is a world of possibility or potentiality. It is in that world where the mysteries that we call the human mysteries, all the human mysteries like how we love, how we feel, how we think, all that, how we become consciousness itself, all that mystery is in that domain of potentiality. So the more we concentrate on the domain of potentiality, the more we gain insight about ourselves. Whereas the world here, the manifest world, is good to an extent, because that's where matter is, and we gain insight about the material world by studying the manifest world, certainly. But quantum physics forces us to shift our attention to the unmanifest world, and that's where the human enterprise mainly is.
And what about positive or negative quantums? Can we divide them into such two groups?
I don't know what this question
well, let's
really
take
means.
It bad karma or good karma. Can we just take it as simple as this?
Okay, that's a big jump from positive quantum, negative quantum, which doesn't mean anything without a context, to positive karma and negative karma. So what you mean is that quantum leaps, we talk about quantum leaps, discontinuous transitions. can there be positive quantum leaps or negative quantum leaps? In other words, quantum leaps are quantum leaps of creativity. So what you're really asking is that the creativity can it be negative? Can it produce a negative fruit, consequence?
Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata 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 Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Purnamadaja Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate.
Okay, so another question is, we all live in...
I didn't answer your question.
Oh, I'm
about
sorry.
negativity.
Just please carry on.
So the answer to that is that the creative insight is about a shift in the mind, shift in the context of the way we think, and that has no negative or positive. How we use that shift can be, of course, negative. For example, take a look at the discovery of E equals mc squared that Einstein did in 1905. Great discovery, but it produced the atomic bomb eventually. It also produced some great things like peaceful use of atomic energy, and there are so many of those too. But nothing, of course, compares to the horror of the atomic bomb. Should we then call Einstein incarnate of evil? That would be a big mistake.
Yes, I got it now. It is difficult to call it positive or negative, because once it is positive and the second time it might be negative.
Also, how we use it.
How we use it, exactly.
We have a big shift in our mind. Previously, we could not think in terms of matter being energy. That so much energy can lie in a little bit of uranium was unthinkable. Now it's thinkable because of Einstein's work. And we released it. It's not Einstein's fault that there is so much violence left in people.
Exactly.
Right?
Wow. We all live in so-called belief system. So can we say that even belief consists of quantums?
Well, here is where you have to be very careful in terms of the context of a question, context of a concept. Now, first of all, what is a belief? A belief can be very negative, because a belief can keep us from truth. Suppose I believe falsely that I am ugly.
Yes, I got it. So certain belief or a false belief can mislead us. So only the truth is the right belief, and then therefore we can call it quantum, consisting of quantums.
That is not where it's at. Where it's at is that quantum physics allows us to consider the possibility of archetypal truth, a deeper truth that on which our beliefs are based. If the beliefs are not based on the deeper archetypal truth, then of course those beliefs will be incomplete beliefs. They will be beliefs on incomplete truth. And those beliefs can harm us, or can produce us some short-term good, but eventually they will harm us, because they are not based on fundamental truth, only relative truth. But if we base our beliefs on fundamental truth, which some traditions call that faith, not belief, and that distinction is a good distinction in my judgment. That belief we can call quantum belief, in the sense that that is usually based on a quantum leap of the mind. Mind has jumped from mental level to what we call a supramental level through a quantum leap, discontinuous transition in the context of thinking. And this kind of leap always leads you to truth. There is always an element of truth that we feel a certainty. We call it a gut feeling, because you had a shiver in the spine to go with the generation of the thought. The creative insights come with a shiver in the spine, which makes us absolutely certain that this is true. That kind of belief, this is where I like the word faith. That kind of belief gives us faith, and that kind of belief has enormous healing consequences. We can heal.
Even ourselves, or even other people.
Even other people sometimes.
Can I apply it according to Four Noble Truths?
Yes, Four Noble Truths are very, very good in terms of statement of the human condition. Yes, indeed, life is suffering at some level. And when we see life as suffering, indeed, we can analyze things a little and see that the suffering is coming from attachment to desires. And then if we develop a non-attachment to desires, to these negative emotions, then we become freer and freer. The Noble Truths then go into the method, and that's what the crux is. The fourth Noble Truth, that we follow the Eightfold Way, we follow the method, that's the crucial point. How we become detached is following that Eightfold Way, which basically is the creative process. The problem of all religions is that people who pursue them don't always understand where the focus should be. And so people talk a lot about attachment, non-attachment, but they think that I can achieve non-attachment just by thinking that I don't have desire, or just by cursory examination that I don't have desire. But a desire doesn't go away that way. If we follow a creative process, then we can overcome the effect of this negative emotional aspects of the brain that gives us those desires.
Desires, it is samsara in Indian, is it?
Huh?
Is it the samsara?
Well, samsara is the mischiefs we create because of our desires, because of our attachment to fulfillment of desires. Yes, yes. But does that mean that desires are bad per se? No, it does not even mean that. For example, there is a brain circuit in our brain which gives us competitiveness. Now, competitiveness can be very harmful if used too much. But at the same time, some competitiveness is very good for human beings to have at a level which is also essential for the world. Not everyone is ready for giving up all the desires. In fact, if we really analyze the situation, then Four Noble Truths we find are only for a very select group of people who already have done their role in the samsara, in the worldly affairs. Very select group, very small group of people. That's where these teachings apply. For the bulk of us who are into the world has a different role to play for them. And that role is called evolution. The world also evolves, civilization evolves, consciousness evolves. Where do evolution come from? Evolution doesn't come from those people who try the path of nirvana, leave the samsara completely. Samsara, if left to itself, would still consist of people of primitive kind. Do you have any idea how violent those people were?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Many people forget. We were unimaginably violent. Today we get upset with ISIS because they behead people.
But on the other hand, we have, let's say, non-violent societies or civilization which live in a sustainable way of life. For example, Indian in North America.
Well, yes, we have been very violent to many people, because they conflicted with the well-being of another more adventurous people, let's put it that way. Yes, and that still goes on, right? That still goes on. If your interest conflict with the interest of native people, in the guise of many things, including democracy and civilization, we bring a very violent end to those people. And that still goes on. So there is a lot of hypocrisy in human affairs. All this has to be understood, and all this has to be dealt with certain amount of pragmatism. Human condition has these difficulties at this stage of our evolution. Human condition has these negative emotional brain circuits built into it. And then to say that no, let human beings be all nice and good, sounds optimistic, good, but it won't work. We have to be pragmatic to realize that no, until people have worked out certain ways that all people can change, can transform, nothing will really change this human condition itself. So how do we do it? Well, how we do it is that some of us can do it better than others. And those some of us who can do it have the responsibility to do it because they can. If you can learn a language, you have that capacity. It's your responsibility to learn the language, because if you do it, you will facilitate communication between people. So people who can learn positive emotion and can make positive emotional brain circuits, they must do it, because if you have the capacity of exemplifying that, look, I do not get permanently angry like you do. Yes, I get a little bit angry sometimes, but I recover just like that, and I can love you back immediately like a child can. Children get angry, but their anger doesn't last. It's the beauty of children, right? Can an adult be like a children? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. But only some of us have developed that capacity at this stage of our evolution. So those of us who can, must. This is the principle of quantum activism. By following the rules of quantum physics, if you are able to, we can transform. And that transformation will be useful because we'll be exemplifiers of a better way to live. And then other people will be inspired to learn from our ways, and they will try. At first they won't succeed, but eventually they will. And that's the way civilization has always progressed. Progress of civilization always has been the gift of a few to the rest of the society.
I'm sorry to disturb your noble talk about the OT.
Mumachur munayo deva sumanam si mudanvitaha mandam mandam juladara Jaghajur anusakaram. निश्चिते ताम उद्भूते छाया मने जनार्दने देवाख्यं देवरूपिण्यं विष्णु सर्वगुहाशय आविरासिद्यत प्रचायं तिस्सिन्दूरेव पुष्कलः देवाख्यं देवरूपिण्यं विष्णु सर्वगुहाशय मुमुचुर्मुनयो देवो सुमनं सिमुदन्विता मन्द मन्द जलाधारा जगजुरानुसागरम् Churmunayo devo sumanam simudanvita manda manda jaladhara jagajuranusagaram nishite tama udbhute jaya mane janardane devakyam devarupinyam vishnu sarvaguhashaya nishite tamodbhute jayamane janardane devakyam devarupinyam vishnu sarvaguhashaya avirashidyata prachayam tissindureva pushkalaha devakyam devarupinyam vishnu sarvaguhashaya
Well,
not capture our drinking tea.
I start with a very strange question. In my own theory, that an idea is a quantum. What do you think about it?
Well, again, ideas can be quantum if they are reached on the basis of a quantum leap. Ideas that we get from other people, ideas that evolve continuously from other people's thinking or even our own thinking, they cannot be called quantum by any stretch of imagination. That quantum is about possibilities. Now, we are not interested in old possibilities. Old possibilities already are Newtonian in their way, in the way that they express in our behavior, because they are conditioned possibilities. We have already been conditioned to think that way. And any permutation and combination you make of them, they might sound like creative, but they are creative only in a very limited way. So quantum thinking should give us that quantum leap of insight, where we bring a new possibility to bear on the manifest reality. And it is that power of new possibility that propels us towards making real changes. Otherwise, the changes will not be discrete changes. Changes will be continuous changes. Is that bad? No, I'm not saying that. Continuous changes, of course, are also necessary. But these discrete changes are the changes which profoundly change our society. And they are all quantum leaps. If you analyze human civilization, even biological evolution, you find that all the wonderful changes that have taken place, they're all the result of quantum leaps of evolution. This is why they don't find fossil records in crucial stages, like how a reptile became bird. They never can trace that. The intermediates just are not there. So that was a real discrete change, a quantum change, a quantum leap in evolution. Same thing happens in human civilization. There are quantum leaps, and we can, if we pursue history properly, we can see that. If we pursue sociology properly, we can see that. And to be frank, my criticism of sociology is that they have not quite brought the power of quantum physics in their analysis, and they should.
Does that mean that we can await such a quantum leap in our, let's say, a social evolution or a human being's evolution?
In the human evolution, likewise, all the big changes a human being makes are quantum leaps. For example, we all have problem with relationships, right? Our relationships initially are very self-centered. We want the other to serve me, but we completely miss the aspect of, okay, what is the need of the other? That question does not even arise in most people's mind. And this, of course, produces this one-sidedness of relationship. Both people are just using the other to serve his or her purpose. And that's not a very good basis for relationship. How can it be better? So both people discontinuously have to discover that there is self beyond this selfishness, a self that encompasses both people, not just one person. In other words, initially our relationships are because of us. You are my friend because you are my friend, therefore you are important. Me comes first. Because you are my friend, I tolerate your occasional feelings and thinking that I don't like. But your importance to me comes entirely because you serve me, mua, number one. That has to shift from this self-centeredness to other-centeredness. I care about you because I care about you.
Exactly.
And that is a quantum leap of the mind.
Thank you. So we are all connected, as you said, in quantum activists. So we share ideas, let's say ergo quant. How can we, thanks to non-local connections, spread one certain idea worldwide?
I missed it. Please, could you repeat that question?
Can we, thanks non-local connection, spread one certain idea worldwide?
Oh, you mean, can we let the non-local consciousness spread? Mm-hmm. Yes, non-local consciousness does the spreading all the time. The advantage of one person taking a quantum leap and discovering a certain truth, why that produces civilization is precisely because the truth goes around in two ways. First of all, the local way, but truth can also go around in the non-local way. If I have a relationship with you that extends more than just the local, then of course what I do will influence you greatly. And so if one person can have a tremendous influence on moving civilization. Some people call this the 100 monkey syndrome. If enough of us can
bodhisattva
threshold of change, then the entire humanity can change, and we have some detailed ways, detailed models that we can make today for this kind of changes that can take place, that can be brought about in a few generations by only a few people making changes. This is entirely because of non-local consciousness and non-local spreading of a particular change.
It's probably will probably need your help because there is something arranged I have no idea about.
It is just a few few seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll finish it first. Well, some people near death or deep meditating people experience the light and the end of tunnel or something, let's say a door of light ajar or something like that. Have you experienced such a feeling?
This you're talking about more like the near-death kind of experience.
Well, let's call it enlightenment or a bodhisattva.
Well, enlightenment is, again, is a very ambiguous word. Not all enlightened people experience light. No. That's more of a death experience. Tibetans have this concept of seeing the clear light. That's enlightenment, of course. But enlightenment, ordinarily, in our regular living awareness, enlightenment can be just a quantum leap of experiencing your real self, which is why enlightenment is often identified as self-realization. When the ego realizes that ego is based on more fundamental, more cosmic self, which includes other people. So, like we were talking about before, if I can love you because you are important, because you are who you are, then I already have extended myself to include you. Where did that come from? That came from a quantum leap of realizing that self is bigger than my selfish self. So that's a sort of a self-realization that I'm talking about. Now, agreed that this may not be the enlightenment which spiritual traditions call enlightenment. There is also deeper levels of enlightenment where people really experience, not experience exactly, that's the wrong word, but people really live in the proximity of perfection or God or quantum consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And that level of enlightenment is as close to perfection as a human being can come. That's a different level altogether. So there are many ways that you can use this word enlightenment. Am I enlightened because I have a creative experience in which I realize that my self is based on a bigger self than my just numero uno? Yes, that can be called enlightenment too. But will that change my behavior to the extent that it will when a master is situated in that perfect consciousness most of the time? No. So one has to be at once very pragmatic and humble that there are many levels of enlightenment. And this is a point where if humility doesn't come, then I'm nowhere even close. If I'm so-called enlightened and my behavior reflects pride or behavior reflects specialness, then I have not understood the word at all.
I got it. Do you personally know or get in touch in a bodhisattva?
I only met really intimately one person of the type that I just mentioned, these people who can be said to live in the proximity of God most of their time. And that's an American named Franklin Merrill Wolf. I met him when he was 97 years old. And between that time and his passing away next year, I probably spent about 3 months with him altogether. And I tell you, this was a very unique time of my life. So that is my only real experience of. I have had cursory experiences of masters. I have heard Krishnamurti. I have spent time with a great enlightened being named Laughing Baba. In that kind of way. I have also talked to many radiant personalities, including Dalai Lama, who I highly respect. He passes the criterion of enlightenment in some sense, but not in the highest sense that I know is possible. And Dalai Lama is a very humble man, so he passes with flying colors. He is very humble because he knows what I'm talking about. So in that way, but I haven't lived with Dalai Lama by any means. It's just a cursory encounter, at a conference. Just that one experience, and that's a regret I have. I mean, as a scientist, I would have liked to have more opportunities of living in the proximity of these great beings, but those great beings are not dime a dozen. They are very difficult to find.
You are creator of your own reality, so you can create such a reality, can you?
Well, not in that sense. I mean, when we think we are creator of our own reality in that sense, again, we are deviating from the criterion of humility. No, our ability of creating our own reality is entirely dependent on where I am able to focus. I'm not able to focus on that one because I myself don't even have any idea how to go about that one. I can only listen to my inner call, and my feeling is that if I purify my unconscious, I will someday get there. But that is only an intuition. Am I getting there? I really don't know. I have to do what I can do. By imagining that I can do something which I don't have the ability to do, thinking that, I create my reality and therefore I can just imagine it. No, that's not how this creation of reality works. It works through the creative process where I have to have a certain knack of certain investigation. My knack of investigation is science-based. So it is a particular knack, but because I have this particular talent, I have achieved a certain amount of success. If I go into other kinds of creation of reality, which requires other kinds of talents, I'll fall flat on my face. There's no question about it. So you have to be very careful about what you can create and what you cannot create.
Okay. What is the difference between consciousness, subconsciousness, and unconsciousness in a quantum level?
This is something we can do very well. This is something we finally can answer. So what Freud called unconscious, Freudian unconscious, that probably is better termed as subconscious. Because what is it? It's the level of possibilities which have become traumatic, which reflects a past trauma. And so those possibilities we don't want to collapse, we don't want to manifest, we avoid them. So they're submerged because they're unwanted. Okay, so subconscious is a very good term for that. And then there is, of course, unconscious. What is unconscious? Unconscious consists of all quantum possibilities, both the one that I have experienced before, for which we have memory, and new ones. Okay. Now, some people, and it's a good thing, I think, distinguishes even more further. So we say unconscious mainly is what has been lived recently, not entirely suppressed, but not entirely finished either, unfinished business. That's mainly our unconscious. Our unconscious also largely depends on strong racial instinctual memories that are called negative emotional brain circuits. So unconscious negative emotions. So these fill up the unconscious, but they are all unconscious based on past memories, either past memories because of my environmental conditioning or past memories because of my genetic evolutionary conditioning. And then there is the complete new. That complete new part, some people call super unconscious, super conscious, but really should be called super unconscious. So we have subconscious, unconscious, and super unconscious. Now remember, Carl Jung introduced a further distinction of the unconscious. Part of the unconscious is personal unconscious, and he pointed out that there is also collective unconscious. So collective unconscious is the repressed memory of entire humanity. So there is then subconscious, which is the repressed traumas that we want to remember, but that has effect anyway. And then there is the personal unconscious, not so harmful that we want to avoid it. They come up constantly and dominates our regular living. And then there is collective unconscious of Jungian vintage, which has both good and bad aspects, and some of it is very good, some of it is not so good. And then there is the super unconscious, which is really the quantum part. Quantum physics, quantum leaps enable us to bring those never manifest before stuff that we call creativity.
Can you explain to our listeners quantum measurement problem?
Quantum measurement problem is the idea of, it's really very simple. Quantum objects are possibilities. Our observation, our measurement makes them into actualities in space and time. So quantum measurement problem it's called a problem or a paradox, because if you take the scientific materialist view that we are made of matter, then you are stuck. Because if the human being is made of possibilities, then our measurement consists of possibility looking at possibility. But possibility looking at possibility can never give us actuality. The fact is that we do get actuality, we do get actual experiences. Where do actual experiences come from then? From the possibility world. This is the quantum measurement problem. And there is no solution without invoking consciousness in a new way.
Well, I'd like to give you a very strange question. Is there any possibility that people in the future will fly without equipment?
Yeah, why not? Why not? But remember, we have to open ourselves to a liberation from the view that the physical laws are ultimate. Physical laws are not ultimate, because physical laws are the result of the archetype of truth. So if it so happens that human beings become capable of becoming embodiment of the archetypes to such an extent that they can occasionally, in a local way, without harming others, can violate the laws of physics, then certainly we should be able to fly. The only rule about the flying is that it should not harm others, because these archetypes have no harm in them. Archetypes can only be good.
Thank you. It was a very pleasure for me to have a, let's say, short interview with you. And I'd like to pass my word to Dr. Pálež I was talking about before.
Yo, eh, ho, eh, ho.